Chapter 2, College Daze. And I spelled that D-A-Z-E on purpose. I had chosen a state college in Indiana to attend school. The choice was simply economics. My father had co-signed a student loan, and this is the school that we could afford and was also away from home. His statement to me about my choice of schools was, "That is a party school." If you only knew. My father's words were right on, because it was a party school. I started out in one of the standard dorms and later moved over to a building that had much more character and personality. I very quickly was able to make connections in obtaining drugs. I was also even known among the potheads as a druggie. I began experimenting with LSD, mushrooms, and cocaine. My daily choice of drugs was grade-high marijuana. The difference with me is that I loved partying alone. I can't blame peer pressure because I did not party with others, nor did I drink alcohol, take pills, smoke cigarettes, or attend bars. I was the classic loner freak that drowned myself in heavy rock and roll music, much of it satanically inspired. I did not believe in Satan or demons at the time, and I certainly had no relationship with God or Jesus. I classified Christians as nerds, wimps, and losers. Somehow, the first year I was able to make decent grades. My routine was I would get stoned after running in the morning and function high most of the day, including my classes. I would then go to bed very early, set the alarm for about 2 a.m., and study sober. Then, like clockwork, I would start getting high, and it would continue all day. The vision that I had for myself at that time is that I, after 4 years, would graduate with a degree in business and marketing. I would then be employed by a leading pharmaceutical company with a big expense account, company car, huge salary, and large commissions. I would be selling drugs to doctors and using illegal drugs as I was doing it. I did not like pills, but I knew there was great money in that business. Wow, that life was going to make me happy and very rich, so I thought. The summer in between my freshman and sophomore year was spent in a job in Ely, Minnesota. I knew that I had changed so much that there was no way I could stand the time back with my family, nor could they stand me. The job was advertised in the school paper, and it was at a canoe camp. I had a really good time, and I stayed sober the entire summer simply because I could not get away with getting high on this job. I then entered my sophomore year of college. The classes were no longer Basket Weaving 101 or the study of the Beatles, and I really did take that class. I was known for my wild dorm, which I had decorated with stolen goods. I had also become a huge thief. The fact that I did not get busted then was a miracle. Oh man. I recall my brother, who was a year younger than I am, coming to make a visit. He walked into my room, his mouth dropped, and he said, "This looks like an opium den." No doubt, reefer was the drug of my choice. However, the effects of all the drugs were also starting to take a toll on my mind. I could no longer remember things like I could before. I had bounced many checks and for a short period of time started selling weed. To say that I was a mess was simply an understatement. I lied so much to my family that I had to start writing down the lies so that I could remember what I had told them. I did not get involved with boys sexually because, frankly, I enjoyed the drugs over people. I was actually very sexually naive, and I had not dated in high school. I can recall by late fall of this year, I started hearing voices talk to me again. I had no idea that these were demons speaking to me. I was not doing well in the business courses that I had selected, and I eventually quit going and stayed in the dorm room and did drugs. Ironically, I still jogged every day and tried to maintain that habit. It was usually when I was out on my run that I would hear these voices starting to talk to me. The best way I can describe it is that it was like a big monkey on each shoulder. One would tell me, "You're a rat." The other one would tell me, "Kill yourself." I now know these as spirits of death, torment, and suicide. Their assignment was to make me kill myself. I now know that because of all the satanic music, all the drugs, all the sin, I had opened myself up to the demonic realm. These demons were very persistent, and they did not give up until I did what they told me to do. It was now time for Christmas break. I had made a fake report card which made it appear that I had made straight A's. I had the real report card mailed to my dorm, and the day before I left for home, I mailed the fake one to my parents' address. I recalled the reaction from my parents that I had made straight A's. They were happy and amazed. My younger brother, who's a year younger than I am, was the most discerning because he did not believe it. He was right. My plan was to play the game that everything was okay, and then I would return to the college campus and kill myself in the dorm room. I recall telling a few people that were in the same building that I was going to end my life. I now know there was one girl by the name of Sue that was praying for me. Word had traveled that I was planning a suicide attempt. Living had become pure hell, and all I wanted to do was die. I was already dead inside, and I wanted to escape this earth, never considering where I would go. I need to make it crystal clear that a month before I actually attempted suicide, I had run out of all sources of money. Therefore, I could no longer purchase any drugs, nor was I selling them because of major paranoia. I only had a few dollars left. I will never forget the day that I walked into the hardware store and said to the male older clerk, "I need something that will kill a rat." I know it sent shivers up his spine because his reaction was all over his face. I scared him. He sold me a box of Decon rat poisoning, and I walked out of the store. I then went into a drugstore and stole a bottle of Sominex. The following day, I was determined that I was going to end my life. Death would be better than the tormented life I had been living. The reason that I chose rat poison was because the demons told me I was a rat, and frankly, I couldn't disagree. I had been doing really bad things. I took a cup and I mixed the entire box of Decon with warm water, attempting to make it dissolve. It was gross and lumpy. I then drank the entire glass full of rat poison and then took the entire bottle of Sominex with tap water. It would have been much easier to do this if I had been high, but I did it sober. The next thing I can remember, as I was laying down on my bed, is my body began to gyrate and shake like that of a snake. I could not control the movement. I began screaming as the poison was permeating my system. I then recall my teeth clenching. I bit my tongue, and my spirit started going down a very black spiral tunnel in which I heard horrible screaming and moaning. The next thing I knew, I was back into my body, and there were paramedics hovering over me. fellow students had heard me screaming, called the authorities, and they opened up my locked door. I recall one of the paramedics squeezing me and screaming, "What did you take?" I don't remember if I could talk, but they induced vomiting and I began puking all over myself. I do remember them finding the box of poison and the sleeping pills in the trash. The next thing I recall is being taken down the stairs on a stretcher, screaming as other people watched in dismay as they placed me in the ambulance. This is an experience that I cannot ever talk about without crying, because I have to relive it. And it was horrible. Hell is a horrible place, and you don't want to go there.